going to have a conversation, a reflective moment on the past 3 months. We want to know the impact of the fellowship on your work, the impact of the fellowship on your personal development, your personal growth, and how it's shaping your work in the future.
So before applying for the fellowship, there's one thing that I think all of us did, including myself, is motivation letter. What inspires you to apply for this fellowship? And I still remember what I wrote, because before I had applied, I had read recently from ISE that one of the areas that are the most vulnerable to IFFs was the extractive sector. In the Upper East region, we have a growing mining industry in the Upper East region, and so you would expect that there will be a lot of concerns there. And so for me, coming into this fellowship, that was the biggest thing for me. Coming to learn how to talk or write about the IFFs and the vulnerabilities in the extractive sector in the Upper East region. Even on the day of the opening, when we were asked of our expectation, it was the same thing.
Well, I must say that it's been very transformative from the word go when we step in here for the opening ceremony. At least one is unable to tell what to expect. I mean, you have a huge expectation, but stepping in here, you don't know what comes after there. But I must say, for me, it's been very insightful. Through the fellowship, I have learned a lot of things, of which I see stories differently now. Each story has a story behind it. Mm-hmm. And I write. I'm a journalist, so of course I write, but then when I write, I read my story as the writer, and I still read my story as the reader. Okay. So if you are able to do that, you're able to tell whether the story you've written will better relate to the reader or better relate or have an impact on the reader.
First of all, when I saw them opening and I saw Next Generation, matter of fact, in previous years, I used to think that it's for people who are now out of school, who are fresh out of school. That was me thinking that, I have left school a long time ago. I've been practicing journalism, so maybe it's not for me. So this year, when I decided to give it a try, I really didn't ask any past fellow. I didn't know anybody from the past cohort, but I decided to give it a try. Also because of the theme, right? And I've realized that it really means Next Generation, because journalism has to evolve from what we know it to be in Ghana now, what we know it to be, what like journalism has become. It needs to evolve, and that is why this fellowship is very important.
So I think the biggest challenge is, after I had sent the very first draft to the editor, Kent, he sent me 2 pages of feedback. So it was 2 pages of feedback. And I went through all of the feedback and I was wondering, how am I going to get this done? Because he says, look for if there's been an audit of the project and how much money has been spent and if there were any procurement breaches. And I kept wondering, so how am I going to get this information? But then after digging, I realized that everything he asked me to do was publicly available. It just meant that I just needed to read more, and I would have got it even in the first place, right? So that was good for me.
The fact that I did, that I almost had a panic attack, because the person I wrote about, the minister, was quote unquote unhappy with the story. And I don't like conflict. So I started panicking and I wanted the story down. And Kwame Krobe was excited. He said, stories must bring conflict. It means that it impacted. It means they cared. And it was in less than 24 hours. But I was very unhappy. I was scared. I have done fact check for over a year. This is the very first time I've written an article, whether a news article, feature, or fact check, that had gotten this much feedback in less than 24 hours. So I was scared. The minister is unhappy with you. How?
Safe to say that we gave you that money.
But I was scared. It has never happened. Like, someone, if my mother is unhappy with me, fine. But the minister is unhappy with you, the boss was unhappy with you, and the PRO. And I was like, what's happening? It's just a simple story that I did. And it was your fault. You did a misinformation. So I just brought out something. And I started feeling bad. And the people started begging, put on the story, please, my job is at stake. And I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? But that conflict made me realize that it comes with a job. So you need to have the tenacity to be able to stand your ground. My biggest mistake was thinking I should pull down the story. I'm so ashamed to say that I wanted to pull down the story, but that wasn't a good thing. So listening to Kweku Asante was, Krabia gave me the best advice. This is a good thing. It means they cared. It means they saw the story. They read it. They will not make that error ever again. So that expose or that fact check was incredible. And then I calmed down.
So far, the fellowship has been revealing to me personally. I've learned a lot from the fellowship, from all things I've learned. And I think the very first lecture I had here was on values and those ones. And the value that I carried home was, as an investigative journalist, was integrity. And it is something that I really accepted within myself, that if I don't have that ingredient in me, I cannot go far as an investigative journalist. And so I carried on, and I realized that integrity is a weapon that will help me.
Story structure. I read a lot of stories now, and I'm like, oh my God, this should be the last sentence. This should be the first. Why is this one here? It is very important. Storytelling as journalists is what we all have. It's like a soldier with a loaded gun and you can't aim and fire. What are you doing? It's pathetic if you have all the information. Sometimes the stories, I see good interviews, I see good data, but it's just misarranged. And I'm like, this is so chaotic. What is happening? And sometimes they don't teach you this in journalism school. But this fellowship was so instrumental. It reminded me that, okay, structure is very key. You don't just fire because you have information, you have data. Take your time, analyze who comes first, who comes second, who comes last. That makes the story memorable and very beautiful. I think that's my biggest professional lesson that I got from this fellowship.
It's been one of the best decisions I've made in this career called journalism that I am very passionate about. And it's been very transformative for me.
Fellowship has been monumental, informative, and phenomenal. I invite all of you to apply. Okay? If you are watching, apply. You will have it.